Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Today I am here with you as a Pathways guide presenting the pathways the way I have done in many of my clubs. I hope it will benefit some of the members who have not been able to attend my presentation as well as anyone else elsewhere in the Toastmaster world. Thank you. I'm glad that you have been able to join me today in this presentation of Pathways. Now, Pathways is one of the very important steps that has been taken by Toastmasters. Instead of me explaining to you what are the benefits, let us go and hear from some of the members who have already experienced or who are experiencing Pathways in their Toastmaster journey.
What I like best about Pathways is the fact that it's much more customized to what you may want to get out of Toastmasters, what your goals are. It's basically Toastmasters updated.
The base camp is like having a personal coach. It guides you through the journey of Pathways and tells you the next steps.
One of the things I liked about base camp is that I can tell where I am in my journey and continue at the next step. I know exactly where I am.
I've used it on a computer, I've used it on a tablet, I've used it on a phone.
It's really cool that we're able to go on to base camp and take a quiz that determines what path best suits our needs. One of the most surprising things about the assessment is that it gave me more awareness about what exactly I was looking for.
The questions were very introspective. The assessment was very intuitive. Taking the assessment helped me really put a finger on my goals.
These facts are going to aid me in a more specific way than the previous programs did. The path that I chose really gave me the step-to-step roadmap to achieve my goals. There are 10 different paths. It's amazing how much opportunity there is for the future.
Pathways has led me to a whole new level.
I'm really appreciative that Toastmasters has this new, exciting format. After decades of having an old format, we are now up to date and we can determine which path best suits the individual.
Well, are you excited about it? I am. In fact, Pathways is one of the most significant change for a long, long time in the Toastmasters. It all started with the introduction of the first manual that was done by Ralph Smedley. Ralph Smedley believed that communication is the key and can be the key to many of the things that we do in our real life, be it professional, be it community, be it personal. And today, the world needs leaders and effective communicators to take us through. And as we have learned in Toastmasters, this is an amazing journey and the benefits that we get from the communication, from improved communication and leadership. It all started with this basic training manual in Toastmasters. Would any of you remember if you have used this? Well, I guess not, because this was launched in 1940. After that came in the manuals that we use today. Competent communication, competent leadership, and many advanced manuals, in fact, 15 advanced manuals. We know how this journey in Toastmasters have benefited us, but things have changed. Today, we look for things differently. We want more flexibility, we want structured, and we want to be able to focus, keep our focus on what we actually want to achieve. And this is the reason really where Pathways was why Pathways was introduced. And of course, we want to enjoy when we learn. Ralph Smedley knew this so many years back, that it is when we enjoy, that is when we learn most. In 2010 or 2011, Board of Directors in Toastmasters directed Toastmaster headquarters to refresh the education, to refresh the curriculum that we have in the Toastmasters, to tune in with what we need today. And the Toastmaster headquarters took it at hand and created a program with a high value where we'll have lots of fun that will be customized to the way we want to move ahead, customized to our needs. It's flexible in the sense that you can go ahead with an online program or with online resources or the print resources that we have today. It is competency based. So we'll see how, there are so many competencies comes together to take us through the path that we are interested in. It is resource rich because today, unlike when we were introduced or when the current program was introduced, there are so many online resources. The online area has changed completely. So we can use that to enhance the resources. And finally, we want to have meaningful, effective evaluations. Well, this is what we get in Pathways. After the revamp, after the rewrite of our curriculum, Pathways was born, and this is what we get in Pathways. Tailored, self-paced learning. In other words, each of us will have can choose different path based on what we want to achieve in our personal, professional, or community areas. Then we have the flexibility to choose experience. In other words, we can choose electronic materials or professionally printed materials that we have now. Then greater access to materials, then expanded resources, you can go for videos, skills, quiz, so many other resources can help us in our learning process. Yeah, and all this will be, will have applicability in the real world, because the way we take the path, we'll choose it based on what we really need to achieve. Now let's look at how many of the Pathway members have experienced and what they say about the Pathways.
Welcome to the Toastmasters Pathways learning experience, an exciting, flexible, and interactive way to develop your skills and help others in your club develop theirs. Building on Dr. Smedley's original vision and Toastmasters' core competencies, Pathways upholds the club experience while offering new, revitalized educational content that helps you learn communication and leadership skills that address real-world scenarios. Pathways expands on the current education and leadership tracks by offering more than 300 competencies across 59 projects. These projects are divided into 10 specialized learning paths that allow you to tailor your experience to fit your needs and your pace. All of this content is available online, allowing you to learn anytime, anywhere, from your computer, laptop, or tablet through Basecamp. Basecamp is the place where you'll find all of the materials for your learning experience, along with tools for your journey. In Basecamp, you'll be able to share feedback with fellow club members, view badges you've earned, access and save digital speech evaluations, and more. When you first begin Pathways, you'll take an online assessment that will recommend the path that's right for you. You'll be able to access your path from your education transcript in Basecamp, where you can view and complete projects. New elective projects, such as write a compelling blog and manage projects successfully, allow you to tailor your learning to meet your interests. Projects in Basecamp include a variety of interactive elements, including questionnaires, quizzes, menus, and expandable content. Educational videos model skills and provide demonstrations of the concepts you are learning. For example, Prepare for an Interview shows effective and ineffective interview techniques. Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring demonstrates the difference between coaching and mentoring. And Manage Online Meetings provides the best practices and strategies for holding a webinar or another type of online meeting. As you can see, Pathways represents an exciting paradigm shift that brings with it many new learning opportunities. What's more, Pathways will feel familiar to you because it maintains the things you love about Toastmasters, including your club experience. Pathways is coming to your club soon. Visit toastmasters.org/pathways to learn more.
Pathways is dynamic. Whatever phase you are in your Toastmaster journey, CC, CL, DTM, you will find there is always a path for you. The way Pathways was developed was ground up from what we have now in Toastmasters. As you all know, in Toastmasters, what we have is so powerful and so much we have benefited from it. This has been taken and expanded in many different dimensions to give us what we will know as Pathways. We have in a Toastmasters, in our learning in Toastmasters, competencies, 4 or 5 competencies that we take forward in our learning process. Public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, management, and confidence. Of them, first 4 is what we say teachable. And the Pathways, the new program, has developed paths based on these 5 core competencies. 10 different paths was developed. And as a member, Toastmaster member, we can take any of these paths to move forward in our learning journey. And as you can see, each of these paths have different competencies, core competencies it is based on. For example, dynamic leadership is where you build strategic leadership and conflict resolution skills. And it is based on the first 3. So each of these paths is designed, and based on our requirement, we can take any of these paths as we move forward in our journey, Toastmaster journey. Now, when we take a path, we can or we will move through different levels. Different levels gives us a gradual increase in our ability because we move through different levels of complexity. As you can see, level 1 will be just initial introduction, so to speak, and you are just getting your feet wet. And then you move progressively through different levels. There are 59 projects now, and there will be more to come as in Pathways. Now, one of the things in Toastmaster is recognition. Today, we know that we have the recognition like CC, CL, ACB, and so on and so forth. Here in Pathways, there are 2 levels of, or 2 categories of recognition that is provided by badges and awards. In the top, what you see is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are the different levels and provided to you by Toastmaster when you complete a level. And the one below are, for example, exceptional, courageous. These are different badges that we as can give each other. we can recognize each other as long as both of us are on the online version. Evaluation is key in Toastmasters. Without evaluations, we will not move forward. We'll come and give speech every day, but we'll not know what it is that we need to improve. As we all know, some evaluations today are not, or many evaluations today are not as effective. And this is one thing that Toastmasters have done in Pathways, that evaluation is now designed to be constructive and objective. And as an evaluator, we will be guided towards providing a very effective evaluation. Let's look at how it happens. Effectively, the dynamics doesn't change. Let's say I am the evaluator for your speech. Just like we do today, we will go and present the 2 to 3 minutes evaluations of your speech. That's what I'll do. But also I'll evaluate, and the way I'll evaluate is, first, there will be an evaluation form that you can send me, and that really highlights what your speech is about, what I should be looking for. Or I can also download it from the Basecamp. We'll talk about Basecamp. Now, once we have that, where after you've given the speech, I'll use this particular form. This is a form that tells me what are the categories I should evaluate you on. And there is a place to give a comment. And these categories, the way I evaluate, that is also provided here in another sheet. The third sheet will tells me what does 5 means, what does 4 means. So I am kind of guided, I'm guided to provide you a very objective and constructive evaluation, and that will help you move through your speech and help you to improve as you communicate. Not only that, now once I've done that, I'll fill it in probably in a PDF, or I can just even write it and I give it back to you, and then you can upload in your profile. And you can have a look at that anytime, you can refer to that anytime. Unlike today, where most of the evaluations that is provided are never looked at again by the speaker. There might be exception, of course. Another important change that is coming in the Toastmaster is the mentor program. We know how much helpful mentoring is and the difference it makes, not only to who is mentored, also who is mentored. Toastmaster in the Pathways, today the mentor program is becoming more structured. So there are different ways, and as a member, I'll know when I am ready to mentor, and I'll understand the differences between mentoring and coaching, how best to mentor for a big group or a smaller group, and so on and so forth. And we can subscribe or join the mentor program after we reach level 2. Once we achieve the program or go through the full program, we will be a recognized Pathways mentor. Today, there might not be Pathways mentor in new clubs, but well, over time, there will be Pathways mentor who can more effectively mentor the members. Now let's get started. How do we move on once we get the Toastmasters? Now, each district will have a different time frame. In District 46, what we are expecting to roll into Toastmaster in the month of May. And once we get there, you will receive an email from Toastmaster International. And that's when you just get into Toastmaster. So what happens here is, as you log into Toastmasters, and remember, you'll be logging to toastmaster.org. That's the Toastmaster International site, not your free Toast host or any other site. Now, when we do that, there are three things that will come to your attention. One is the navigator. On the right-hand side, you see, that is really the reference that you will be using again and again in your Toastmaster journey. Then on the leftmost side, you see choose your path. This is the first time when you're going to choose a path. You will go through choosing your path, and it will guide you through many questions and helping you to decide what path you need to choose. And in the middle, you see you're accessing the Basecamp. Basecamp is where everything about Toastmaster, for you will be there. We'll have a look at as we move forward. Like I said, Navigator is going to be your reference as in Toastmaster. It will provide you all the information that you need in your Toastmaster journey when you move into Pathways. Now, the first time you go in, you are to choose a path. The first thing that you'll choose is, do you want the online or do you want the printed? If it's printed, then well, you will get printed materials and you will move on almost the way we are doing it now. However, to choose the Basecamp, which is the online, this is on the left-hand side what you'll choose. Now, one thing to note is, when you choose the online version or the Basecamp, you have access to much more than if you choose the printed. For example, there are 10 paths available in Basecamp or the online version. There are only 2 paths available in, there are 5 paths available in printed. But however, if you are using some other language, there are only 2 paths available on the printed material. And also, printed material will be more costly. So, if you choose the Basecamp or the online, then you will be sent to this assessment. Assessment is where you understand what you need and what path you would like to choose. It will take you through a few questions. For example, it'll ask you first, what are the 3 main topics you are interested in? And it'll take you through some questions, help you to discover yourself. What is it that you need? At the end of all these questions, there will be 3 recommended paths that will be provided to you. And you can choose one of them, or you may not choose one of them. If you're not happy with the recommendation that is provided to you by Pathways, you can look at any of the other paths and take one of those paths. Now, once you have chosen your path, you are ready to begin. Many of you will be in the current traditional program. That's fine. What is important to remember is, once our district rolls into Pathways, you will have 2 years to complete the current program. For example, if you are aiming for a DTM and you are somewhere midway, you have 2 years to complete that track. And the other thing to remember is, you cannot transfer your current credentials or current achievement to the new Pathways program, because they are so different. Once our club or rather our district rolls into Pathways, all new members will have to get into Pathways. Traditional program will not be available to new members once our district moves into Pathways. Now, what happens to a meeting? Club meeting that we do, that we're so familiar with. Not a lot has changed. If you see, we are meeting with an agenda, sure, we have that as well. We are signing up for speech, receiving recognition, icebreaker is the first speech, all this is still there. So it should be easy for us to take the transition to Pathways. Having said that, there are some differences. Whereas there used to be 68 competencies, today there are 300 competencies available. You can store speeches and evaluations online so that you can refer to it anytime you want. Then you will have digital badges and certificates, and you have, most importantly, you have 10 different learning paths that is tailored to you. And you can choose which is the path that is best suited for you. Many of you might be asking, so how does this distinguished club program work? DCP program, DCP works. Well, in the education program that we had, or we have now, there are 6 goals. We know, we are so familiar with, like 2 CC hours, 2 more CCs, and so on and so forth. Correspondingly, there are 6 goals in the new Pathways program, like 4 level 1s, 2 level 2s, and so on and so forth. But during the transition period, you can have 6 of these 12 goals. You can choose any of the 6 from the 12 goals. Of course, after we completely move to the Pathways, only the Pathways goals that are on the right-hand side in the screen that you see will be available to us. When we are ready to start, there will be a local support team available to help you. There'll be the district leadership team, like a program quality director, district director, as well as the chief pathway ambassador, and pathway guides. Now, when we start, and it is being rolled out in our district, which is May, somewhere in the middle of this year, 2018, in District 46, each of the member will be provided a rollout kit, which will have the quick start guide and other helpful guides to jumpstart into Pathways. In addition, there will be a hard copy of Navigator available for the club, as well as a flash drive with many important documents like membership applications that the club can use as they move along and they make the transition to Pathways. Now, when you are ready, or when our district is ready, and you will get a mail, you get into the Pathways after going through the assessment. You will be taken to what is called base camp. As I mentioned before, base camp will be the source of all the information that you need, as well as all the information about your journey in Toastmaster will be stored in the base camp. And when you get into base camp the first time, you will be provided with all the help, because there will be helpful resources, tutorials in the base camp. And you you'll see how you can navigate through the base camp. One of the things that you might want to remember when you move into Basecamp is this check compatibility button. This is the menu item or the button that will help you to determine if your browser is compatible with the Basecamp. And also, please remember to shut off any pop-up blocker, because Basecamp will be using some many pop-ups to provide you information. As you move along, you'll be, like I said, continuous support. And the first line of support will be myself. I'll conduct virtual sessions as I move along, and you can provide your questions through your VP, or you can join in the virtual sessions if you're so interested to learn more about the about the Basecamp, about the pathways, and what are the problems, and if there are any problems that you are facing as you make the transition. And finally, before I leave you at it, I want to remind you something very important, that when the pathways rolled out in our district, you will have to log in through the Toastmaster International website. Please remember, it is a Toastmaster International website and not your club website, not the Free Toast host or whatever club website that you are using. You log in through the Toastmaster International website, and then you will go through the process as I have mentioned before. And what I would advise at this point, if you have not been using Toastmaster International website, if you have not been logging into the website, please do so, and so that you can iron out any issues there might be with your login. And with that, what will happen is, once the pathway is rolled out, you will be just ready to jump in. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.